Hello to everyone. This is my final presentation of my experimental project. I am Gustavo Navas. First, a brief description of my project. I am working with psychoacoustics, more specific with the relationship between sounds and emotions. For this, I'm going to run an experiment in which people are going to be exposed to different elements of music to determine what emotions are evoked to this. For this, I'm going to be using a software that's name is iMotions. The purpose of my experiment is to determine which type of emotions evoke different elements of music, and also um, how much is the increase of each emotion related to these elements. For this, my outcome variables are all these 9 that are the ones that the software allows me to have, and the software collect. They are joy, anger, surprise, fear, contempt, disgust, sadness, confusion, and frustration. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be working with iMotions. This software allows me to have the emotions of people. For this, the software uses two elements, the camera and a shimmer. The first one allows me to have the facial expression analysis of the people through the micro expressions that all of us have. The second one, that is the shimmer, that is a GSR, the galvanic skin response, um, give me better results, more accurate results through the sweating levels in the hand of the participants. Also, I'm going to be using two elements. The first one are headphones with a flat response in the human audition range. I mean from 20 to 20 kilohertz. And also an analog to digital converter, that in this case is an interface, to guarantee the quality of the sound. The sound level is going to be set up and watt level that it's 80 dBA. Now we have the factors I'm going to be using for this experiment. I have 4, but the first 2 of them, A and B, are just one that I have to divide it into 2 because they are categorical factors. The factor C and factor D are numerical, but because I have one factor with 4 levels that is categorical, I have to divide it to split it into 2. So I have 2 factors, timbre 1 and timbre 2, that are related to 4 different elements or different sounds: the piano, guitar, violin, and saxophone. For factor C, I have the sound pressure level, that I have 2 possible setups, 65 dBAs and 80 dBAs. These are not extreme values because human beings can listen from 0 to 150 dBs. So these levels are comfortable for the participants. And factor D, that is the tempo, that I have 2 possible situations. That the first one is 90 BPMs, and the other one, the fast one, are 150 BPMs, beats per minute. These tempos are usually used in music. For the disturbances, I have 3. The first one is the sociocultural features, the temperature of the room, and the light of the room. For the first one, the sociocultural features, it's not possible to be measured. The temperature and the light of the room could be measured, but in my case, in the room that this experiment is going to be running, I don't have elements to measure this. For my covariate, I identified 4 different elements. The first one that I think that it's the most important one is the initial state of the participants. This element, it could be measured because the software, iMotions, allows me to have the initial state of the participants through a little experiment that's it's run at the initial of the of this experiment and is with a non-stimuli, and it allows me to have the initial conditions of the participants. This allows me to avoid other elements like gender or the mood or, or other elements I could have. The other three, the time of the day the experiment was run, the age of the participants, and the hearing health of the participants, I could measure, but I couldn't change. For example, in the case of the time, it depends on the schedule of the participants. The age, it's also, I am going to be taking this, but I couldn't change it. And the hearing health, I'm going to use an audiometer that is in the lab. And finally, I have my Gaussian factor. This is the music intervals. I will have 2 possibilities, the third minor and the third major. Well, this element, I put it like a Gaussian factor, and I'm going to be blocking it because I'm not considering this as the focusing of my experiment. Well, so this is the reason I am blocking this factor. With this, I made my, I see in the resolution, in the design resolution table, and I pick which is the more according to me. That is that one that is marked. I have to run 16 experiments. And here are the experimental table that I'm going to have in. It's very important for me to tell you that these elements, these pieces of music that I'm going to prepare and to expose the participants to is very short. This is to avoid the bias from the musical memories of the participants. And this also is why I am not considering as important as the music gender of the participant. Um, Also, I will have a little silence after each music piece to purge each stimuli from one to the next one. Also, it's important to mention that the software randomizes all the sounds to all the participants. So in each time is going to be run in a different way. It's also very important to mention that the room that I'm going to be running the experiment is isolated and has a low background noise. So well, now going to these elements that are in the table, I have to mention that factor T is the one that is important and is made using factors A and B. So factor T appears as a result of my factors A and B. So finally, when I have A and B presented as factor T, A and B are not useful anymore. So with that table, having the T factor C and D, I also have my blocked factor, and with this, I have my complete experimental table. Now, I am going to show you an example that represents the first one of these possible experiments that sounds like this. It's very short, I just mentioned before. Well, with this, what I am expected to have as the results, there are 2 very important things that I'm going to measure with this, all the information that I get with this software. The first one is the relationship between the music and and the emotion that evokes. How I'm going to do this? Through a multivariate analysis that I am planning to do with all the information that I obtain of all the participants related, each one with one piece of music and the emotion that is evoked. And the second thing that is important is how is the increase of these emotions between the silence and um, the time when we have sound. This is going to be done with a GG analysis. This is all what I am going to present. This is my final um, project. So thank you.